This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN.Network. And joining me right now is Tim Moore. He is the CEO of HAVN Life Sciences Inc. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you: HAVN on the CSE and HAVLF on the OTC. And HAVN Life will be presenting at our upcoming in-person investor conference, the Planet MicroCap Showcase, which is taking place May 3rd through the 5th, 2022 at Bally's Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. For more information to register and attend, please go to planetmicrocapshowcase.com. With that, Tim, always good to see you. How you doing?
Doing great, Robert. It's good to see you again. Good to chat with you one more time.
Just one more time right now, but then more time in the
okay. Times after that too. But this is great to see you again.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. Good to see you too. So last time we chatted, we talked about, the Psilocybin facility in Jamaica in progress, the nutritional supplements, a little psychedelic space update. We published that on November 11, 2021. So let's get a new update. What would you say are some of the company's highlights since then?
Well, Robert, we continue to stay focused on the core strategies of the business plan and hitting the milestones that are important and the things that we've committed to do. And since I last spoke with you, we've had a number of really great milestones. Not only is the Jamaica facility operational, but we've now successfully exported from Jamaica and imported into both Canada and the United States. It's a complicated endeavor. It's cultivated in Jamaica as a functional food. It's exported as a functional food, but it arrives in the US or in Canada as a controlled substance. And we've navigated all of the regulatory and legal requirements to successfully do that. We've appointed a partner, Microdose Therapeutics in San Diego, is our distribution partner in the United States. And they're Chad and his partners there are terrific to work with, and we're excited to have them as a partner. So that importation has been a significant milestone. It allows us to then move forward to supply our supply chain partners. We've received a purchase order from Revive Therapeutics for their upcoming clinical trials, working through the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and we're working through the export details and import details with Madison for the University of Madison to complete that transaction. We're in discussions on a project in the UK. We're aligning partners there. We hope to have a partnership in place for a UK import exercise, which will be a complicated one as well. So the psychedelics continues to move forward and hitting important milestones. On the nutritional supplements, we've had a few significant movements there. One is we've completed our distribution network on a national basis in Canada. We've appointed a company called John Luca, which is a national distribution partner, so we can service retailers across the country. We've had a number of new customers come on board. In the United States, we've managed to get on board at Amazon.com. So now all the HAVN Life nutritional supplements are available to people in the United States, either from our website, yourhavnlife.com, or through Amazon.com, where they can enjoy the subscribe and save feature. So we keep moving on that. We have been continue to work on our traumatic brain injury product, the IP that we purchased last September. We've now had that re-registered and updated the formula to improve a few of the manufacturabilities of that, so that we can get that at scale through our manufacturing partner. And we'll be making announcements about that in the coming weeks. So we've been busy.
Clearly. So last time I brought this up in the open, I wanted to get your opinion on kind of a psychedelic space update. And we were talking offline a little bit about that, because you've gone to a few other events out there, both industry events and other investor events, to talk with other investors to help them maybe understand and educate them on what's going on and where we're at. So again, we talked about 5 months ago, things move very fast, but the space has kind of suffered a little bit, I'd say, since when gangbusters, I guess some would say, when all these new psychedelics companies first came out. So where are we at? How should we understand this? What's been some of the investor inquiries and understandings when it comes to either just understanding HAVN Life and also psychedelics?
Yes, so there's a bit of a dichotomy as far as what's been happening at the macro level. We've seen continued advancement on the public policy side. With the elections last November, we saw Oregon and Washington, D.C. and some other jurisdictions decriminalized. There's been additional decriminalization since then. We've seen, the public opinion around mental health continues to evolve, and some of the discussions around the consequences of the pandemic now, more than 2 years into it, and the different groups that have been affected by that. So we're seeing an increasing need for treatment for mental health issues as more and more people are affected, and more people come forward seeking treatment for things like anxiety and depression and PTSD. But the psychedelics industry itself has been experiencing a bit of a bear market. I think it's been largely the retail investor that's moved away from the space. I think a number of investors expected psychedelics to be more like cannabis, where there was going to be revenue and cash flow for a lot of these companies. And the reality is that for psychedelics companies that are in pure research or those that are in new drug development, you're looking at a fairly long runway before they're going to be cash flow positive. For us at HAVN Life, because we built the supply chain of naturally derived psychedelics to support the industry, it's kind of like we're selling picks and axes to the gold miners. So we're actually going to be in revenue this year with psychedelics by shipping to our supply chain customers. But that's not true for many of the companies in the space. So I think the retail investor looked at it and felt that they wanted something that was less risk averse and has moved to other things. And now they're kind of picking through and selecting those psychedelic companies that have a profile that's acceptable to them. And we're seeing some recovery with a few of the different companies that participate in the space.
Got it. And thank you for that update. So I wanted to hit on something that you just said, having to do with, being the picks and axes side of the business for psychedelics, and actually shipping those, in essence, the biologics, right? for these clinical trials. Where's the moat around that, right? Like at what point does it become commoditized? Is it at risk of those types of biologics becoming more commoditized? So I'd love to hear more on that.
Yeah, so first of all, on one hand, it's relatively easy to grow mushrooms. I mean, you just unplug your refrigerator and wait 3 days and you're growing mushrooms, right? But to grow mushrooms that are GMP compatible that can be used in a human trial is actually pretty complicated. So the moat is assembling the intellectual capital, the protocols, the processes, and the facilities where you can cultivate under GACP and process under GMP so that you can generate a compound that can be used in human trials. We feel that we've been successful in that, and that sets us apart. So there are some barriers to entry, not only those, but also from a regulatory standpoint, it's pretty challenging to do this. And so you've got to navigate both the science of it as well as the regulatory in order to participate. As far as the commercialization of it, the reality right now is that synthetic psilocybin is very expensive. It's in short supply. It's difficult to scale. It's highly regulated. I remind people, psilocybin is not illegal. It's just highly regulated, like guns and alcohol and tobacco. There's a legal way to do it, and there's an illegal way to do it. And this industry is running down the middle of the road and saying we're going to comply with all of the rules and do this in a legal way. So, that's when you look at these jurisdictions that have decriminalized, it doesn't really create a commercial opportunity for national companies, because they're not going to operate within one state, because now they're doing something that's federally illegal, but in a state that's legal. And that tension created problems for cannabis, particularly for institutional investors. So I think that staying on the main track of complying with FDA and Health Canada and DEA and is the right way to go. And certainly that's what we're doing. We've taken a look at how big is the market, what's the opportunity like. In the near term, our opportunity is for supplying these clinical trials. And if you take a look at the typical number of patients and doses and the length of these trials, each of these clinical trials is worth around $750,000 of revenue to suppliers of what you call the biologic, but of the actual active ingredient to take them through. So, if there's 100 of those operating, you're looking at a pretty significant market. And there's currently 91 clinical trials that have been registered using psilocybin, and I expect that number will increase. The next revenue opportunity, I believe, will be when clinics are allowed to administer psilocybin in a clinic setting, much like ketamine is done today. I think that will happen before we see an at-home prescription where you go and you go to Walgreens or CVS and get a bottle of psilocybin to take home and take 3 pills a week. I think that's a little further over the horizon, but having psilocybin administered in a clinical setting is probably within the next 3 years, particularly for cohorts such as veterans or first responders that are suffering from PTSD. I think that they'll be identified earlier in the process. And when you take a look at that, the number of patients that a clinic can do in a day, et cetera, each clinic that you can get is worth about $360,000 in revenue to the supplier of actives. And there's currently 300 ketamine clinics operating in the United States, and that number grows every year. So 500 or 1,000 clinics could be operating in the next 3 years. So again, pretty significant market opportunity there for the suppliers of these active ingredients.
Absolutely. So to close us out here today, from what you can tell us, as we mentioned, psychedelics is going through a tough time. Now that people are kind of looking at the reality of the situation and some of the other verticals that are happening. But so for HAVN Life moving forward, what's the plan to mitigate some of what the perception of, oh, okay, we need to understand this a little bit better. So love to hear your thoughts there.
Well, so I think investors are now sorting through where's the rhetoric and where's the action, and companies that have been relying on rhetoric and words rather than actions are not going to bode well. We've been focused on actions. We've launched our nutritional supplements. We've built retail distribution. We've built e-commerce footprint. We've got our psychedelics facility operational in Jamaica. We successfully exported. We've got purchase orders now to ship to end users. So we're actually doing that. And frankly, I'm trying to not get distracted by what's happening in the stock market. I can't ignore it, but I need to focus on the operational side of things and keeping our team focused on doing the things that we said we would do when people invested in us. And that's what we're doing. We're heads down focused on running the business and hitting the milestones. We are also taking a look at M&A opportunities. If they either accelerate or amplify that business plan, that's something that we would take a look at. And there are a number of opportunities. I think we'll see consolidation in the space over the next 2 years, and there'll be fewer companies in this space in 2025 than there are in 2022.
For sure. Well, Tim, with that, where can our audience go and find more information on HAVN Life?
You go to HAVNLife.com and feel free, you can send a question in there and it comes directly to me and I'll provide you with an answer. Okay.
Very good. And that's HAVNLife.com. Tim?
Right here.
Right there, right? Always, Tim, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Robert. Take care.